Greetings to you again, once again, in the name of the Most High. I greet you in all that's going on and all that's taking place around the world at such a time as this. If there was such a reality of time, which there is not, we are eternal beings. All time is happening all the time. Things go backwards and forwards, to and fro, multiple dimensions happening simultaneously, and yet all that takes place has incredible mysteries that are also becoming less and less mysterious as more and more things are brought into the light. Things that we thought were solid and stable before, we find out now are pliable, are malleable, are not solid. Physics is not solid. Now, this is, sometimes it's funny, like I'll explain certain things to different people in conversations, and how often people say, well, okay, what's your source? Where'd you get that information from? Where's that coming from? And, I end up many times providing them a source that's credible to them. And then they are willing to believe it. And they're like, oh, okay. Because how often do people, because you present something that they don't like, or conflicts with their worldview, or conflicts with what they've bought into, now they want to, instead of dealing with the truth of what you said, because it does strike a chord, it does hit a nerve, but instead of dealing with that, they want to discredit the messenger. And so, constantly, what are you asked to do? Provide a source that's credible to them. They don't want to dig into the information. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to use logic, reason, a thought process, use their own brain and say, you know what? That doesn't really make much sense. Lots of things going on that don't really make much sense if you actually stop and think about it. But they don't want to deal with the possibilities of what one answer to a particularly uncomfortable question might lead to. The next question that comes from it is a natural progression. If this, then this. If this, then this. If it's the case that COVID-19 is a scam, then what else does that mean? What else are the implications of that? Okay, historically, let's just talk about just facts. When have you seen, for any public healthcare crisis in the known history of humanity, from what you know of in your lifetime, have you ever seen the entire world coordinate together to do a response like this? When have you ever seen healthy people quarantined? Healthy people quarantined. Businesses shut down. When have you ever seen that in any other healthcare crisis? This is unprecedented activity. Yes? No? Yes. Okay. So, in that response, it's a response to what? How about this? Ask for a sample of the COVID-19 virus. People that have, they've not gotten one back. Professionals that have, they've asked for it so that they can do their analysis. Now they keep talking about all these different variants. How are you going to have a variant of something, then what was the original? What made it up? What constituted it? Questions that need to be answered. People want so badly to trust others that have never proven themselves trustworthy. That is amazing. You want so badly to trust somebody to do the right thing that has never proven themselves trustworthy ever. Ever. You want to give a person with a lifetime problem of substance and alcohol addiction the keys to the liquor cabinet and hope for the best. And you do it again and again and again, and you come up short. You come up surprised. You know, I've got a lot of friends in Texas right now suffering there because pipes have burst. There's no water. Food supplies are dwindling. People have frozen. Some people have frozen to death there. And, a lot of different things fell apart that didn't need to fall apart. Now, yes, I believe the state was targeted. Because this is not normal stuff. But if we can't have a conversation about the obvious things, how are we going to get into the things that are less obvious, the things that are more abstract, the things that would take more time to understand and to dig into? Have people been messing with weather and using weather as a weapon and trying to manipulate it for their own purposes? Absolutely. See right there, what's your source? Okay, you go search it. And I recommend using DuckDuckGo instead of Google if you're going to go do a search. Here's one example. Just go Chinese weather modification or Beijing Olympics. Go look that one up. When they had 2 weeks of perfectly clear skies, and they talked about it openly of what they did in order to ensure perfect weather for the entire time. So, but here's the thing: when an army goes through and blows up a bridge, everybody can go fault the army. But when a flood comes through and wipes out a bridge, who are you going to go after? Who are you going to go after if you don't know? The effect is still the same. The bridge is gone. In fact, a whole lot more bridges are gone. So, there's real things going on. There's real concerns going on. Same time that you've got Texas in this situation, snowing in Greece, snowing in Saudi, from what I heard recently. Yeah, this is normal, right? Okay. All of the aspects of COVID, if you do not see how governments and institutions have been pushing to control through this and using this as a justification for all kinds of things, and the public goes along with it, suspends. When did any virus become a reason to suspend basic human rights, basic rule of law? You have false imprisonment happening around the world, arbitrary imprisonment, no legal representation, no question, people just being hauled off for weeks. And in a lot of cases, people not even knowing where they went around the world under the guise of this situation. Do you not see that there's a problem? Strong arm tactics, there's a problem. No conversation, there's a problem. Yes, the virus has 99.76% survival rate. And by and large, I mean, it's laughable. The kids are laughable in the sense of the response to something of that nature. This is not Ebola. People's faces aren't melting off. As much as they try to make everybody scared, if you actually look at it, what are you dealing with? Okay, if people know somebody that was affected. Hey, I know people that were affected. I've got friends that were hospitalized. I know people that quote unquote died under this. But I also have questions in that situation if it was medical malpractice. Blaming it on this. Because, hey, it's $50,000 a death. Right? You don't think somebody will kill 20 people for $1 million? Especially if they don't care about human life? So you keep thinking that there's people out there that are like you, that value life, that are moral, that haven't violated their oaths as healthcare practitioners, that haven't gone for the bucks, medical institutions. You don't think there's people out there pressurizing hospitals and healthcare providers to stamp COVID on causes of death? When it's not the case? Listen, that's huge incentives. And the people that set it up knew that would be the case. That's why they set it up that way. To incentivize people to create and to push a pandemic, deliberate, controlled, for a purpose situation. Do you know that the day after the election, the WHO and the CDC made massive revisions in how they qualified a case and how the global recommendations for how to count numbers. So you went from 35 cycles on a PCR test, which was never meant to do something to diagnose any type of disease. It was originally designed to detect the presence of HIV, but never for a diagnostic test. So 35 cycles, PCR tests to find traces of the COVID virus, and they call that a case. What'd they do? Dial it back. 5 cycles. You need to have 2 PCR positive tests, dramatically dialed back, plus the diagnosis of a healthcare professional for it to be a COVID test, for it to be a COVID case. And in the process of doing that, 6 weeks later, article in the Wall Street Journal says cases have dropped by 77%. Now, why? Why cases dropped 77%? Well, the reason for the virus isn't there anymore. It was more about a person in office and the control structure than it was about so many other things. So now you need to have cases going down the same time you roll out this experimental vaccine. And it is an experiment. When have you ever seen a vaccine released in less than 10 years? You don't. So in 1 year, they're pumping this thing out everywhere. Listen, under emergency use authorization, you cannot force anybody to take anything, period. And you need to have informed consent, and people need to willingly know the risks and be willing to take those risks in taking any kind of thing. That people are being pressured, that is wrong. People are not being given the proper information, that is wrong. They're not being informed on the appropriate risks. You will not see and know the extent of the damage of something like this until time goes on. Yes, there's people that are dying right away after taking the shot. But the biggest concern will be for the people down the line. For what? For a virus that has a 99.78%, 76% survival rate. Injecting something that's an experiment into perfectly healthy people. How does that make sense? And in the meantime, wear 2 masks and a face shield and get a Chinese anal swab. Hello! Countries are shut down. People's businesses are being crushed. People are wondering how they're going to do anything. You've got suicides, depression, mental health issues off the charts right now. And you want to keep trusting the system? Listen, in places like New York and California and at places where people are leaving and going to other states where their rights are more respected, all of a sudden when people remove their consent, then you see them, oh, okay, we got to open up. Oh, okay, we need to keep people here. You know what? When you're not there anymore, then they care. As long as you give them an audience and give them credibility, they treat you like garbage. When in fact, they are the ones that are beneath you. They're not at your level. They're not human. They're subhuman. Enemies of humanity. Enemies of that which has been brought here and placed here. That is real. That is has the Creator within. These are sellouts. They've sold out humanity, and you can see that in what they do. Listen, you cannot have a response that also violates fundamental human rights. You cannot have a response that also destroys economies and livelihoods and the mental health of the people. Because that does far more damage than good. When have you ever seen a virus, if this is really the case, a virus eradicated? Ever? Oh, people say, oh, okay, polio, smallpox. Really? Those things have been popping up again here and there. And they're definitely kept in labs in places to be released on the population. Modified forms likely. Weaponized forms possibly. You know, we got some crazy people being backed by some heavy resources and some nut jobs behind them trying to throw these things on the populations around the world. Now, what are you going to do about it? You know, sometimes there's people that they start getting all worked up now, and they say, oh, you know, okay, you need to get involved. You need to do... Welcome to the party, my friend. You know, if you've been rolling with us, you've been engaged all over the world on incredible things for the last, well, definitely overtly the last 2 decades. We've put ourselves out there on behalf of humanity. We've risen up to the call and then some. Second to none. Now, maybe we haven't had a few things that might have made our efforts go wider, go further. I think we were among the early people in the world to get shadow banned, have web properties knocked offline, taken off different places. Listen, doesn't matter. You continue on. The true hearts are there. You find the true hearts. You guys have the same vision, same thing inside of you. Go for it. Do what you got to do. And listen, don't waste time, energy, effort on that which is already rejected. And that which is rejected itself. Self-loathing. People that just want to tear you down because they themselves know there's a problem and it looks like you've got some sort of solution or whatever, and so they want to tear you down. Look, that's not your issue. You know, you live the real thing, and as you do that, maybe other people will wake up. You know, I went to a park the other day with my daughter, and you know, didn't have a mask on, didn't do any of that. People showed up with their masks, and as people showed up and they saw me not wearing one, they all started taking their ones off. After about 30 minutes, most of that park, and there's probably about 25, 30 people there by that point, most of that park was not wearing a mask, and everybody was smiling and having a good time. Listen, it says it on the box. The masks don't prevent COVID. It says it on the box. If you're going to go break down a barrier wall and you're trying to keep dust particles out of your lungs, wear a mask for an hour and then take it off and throw it away. You put these things on, you wear them for days on end, and you don't think by breathing your own waste matter that your body's trying to expel, that you're not going to have problems. Listen, dental issues have gone up by 50% because of extended and mask wearing. Who is responsible for that? Who is going to pay those bills? Who is accountable for that? Nobody. But keep doing it. Listen, go within yourself. You know what's true. You know what's real. Go with what's true and what's real. And if you have a question, stop. Figure it out. You've already got the answers within. It is far beyond time that people started to take responsibility and do the things that need to be done. Nobody can do it for you. You need to do it for you. All right, we love you. God bless you. Drop us an email, faithmix@gmail.com. You can always say hi to us. All right, we'll talk to you again sometime really, really, really soon. All right, bye.